This is Corrin, the Emblem of Fates. She is the 11th emblem who specializes in crowd control and terrain manipulation. Her stat bonuses are HP, magic, and resistance, which are nothing special. Her engage attack is Torrential Roar, which is a 3-range linear AoE attack that creates water terrain. The damage falls off very quickly, but its main role is to synergize with Corrin's other skills and apply their effects to multiple enemies. With Corrin's full suite of skills, any enemy that you hit with Torrential Roar will be frozen in place, heavily debuffed, and be sitting on a -30 avoid terrain tile, which is the perfect setup for a boss kill. The main synergy that Torrential Roar has is with Corrin's engage skill, Dreadful Aura, which, while engaged, freezes your attack targets and all adjacent foes for one turn, regardless of if you hit. So in other words, this is a free 100% AoE freeze effect that you can use for every turn that you're engaged. This works especially well with long-range options such as Thunder Tomes or Longbows. Combined with Torrential Roar, Dreadful Aura will apply an AoE freeze to all enemies hit by Torrential Roar, and all enemies adjacent to those enemies. And with this, you can freeze a truly massive number of enemies with only one action. And the best part is that nearly all enemies in the game are vulnerable to this effect, even bosses. One excellent use case of the skill is to freeze a boss in place to get in free hits from outside their attack range. And now let's talk about Dragon Vein, which is another one of Corrin's main features. Dragon Vein is an uninheritable sync skill that allows you to create terrain effects depending on your class type, or choose between them if you are a dragon unit. So let's go through all of the effects. Mystical units get access to the Flame Dragon Vein, which creates a frying pan shaped piece of fire terrain that heavily restricts enemy movement, and also does 10 damage per turn. The damage isn't really that important though. Of all of the Dragon Veins, Flames have the longest range and area extending from the unit, and also the highest move penalty. Each flame tile requires 3 moves to move across, as opposed to 2 for other difficult terrain or 1 for a normal tile. Careful use of the Flame Dragon Vein can heavily impede enemy endgame formations, and allow you to stop entire armies in their tracks. Chi Adepts are able to create 6 ice pillars, which are also a strong blocking option, but they create physical obstructions that can be destroyed, meaning that large groups of enemies can simply break them and move through. Covert units get fog terrain, which is great for stacking a void if you want to dodge tank, and the other effects really aren't that good. Backup units create stone pillars, which grant a small increase to defense and resistance, but this benefit is too small to really matter. Cavalry units create water terrain, which reduce a void, but it creates it in a weird checkerboard pattern that is hard to use, and if you really need the avoid reduction from the water terrain, you can just use Torrential Roar. Armored units create vines, which grant immunity to break, but I have never had a situation where this is worth using. Flying units create a healing aura that restores a small amount of HP, and I found it to be occasionally useful when I have nothing else to do, but it's fairly low impact. And dragon units get access to all of these options, meaning that putting Corrin onto a dragon unit is not a bad idea. The flexibility is good, but 99% of the time I find myself only using the Flame Dragon Vein anyway. And now let's talk about the rest of the sync skills. Quality Time is a cheap skill that builds supports and restores a small amount of HP when you act or wait nearby an ally, and it's surprisingly useful for incidental healing, and it works well on supporting units like your Dancer. Draconic Hex is a powerful debuffing skill that inflicts a -4 penalty to all stats when you attack a unit. It's very strong and it can be vital to making bosses easier to kill, but it doesn't stack, so it may not be necessary to inherit it onto other characters, since your Corrin user will already have it. Pair Up is a defensive skill that nullifies enemy chain attacks, and while this might initially seem very strong, I personally found that endgame situations with high numbers of backup units are surprisingly rare, so spending 2000 SP on this skill may not be worth it over other skills that apply in more situations. And now Corrin's inheritable skills. HP plus 5 through 15 is surprisingly okay for patching up mid-game durability concerns. It can get you outside of the one-shot thresholds of enemy corrupted worms, though you could also do that with a tonic. And sword focus isn't very good because swords are already fairly accurate anyway. Corrin's engaged weapons are all bad. The dual katana reverses the weapon triangle, and that'd be nice if that actually mattered. The Wakizashi is a 2-range exclusive sword whose only real benefit is applying Dreadful Aura and Draconic Hex at 2 range if you don't have another 2-range option. And the Yato is a surprisingly okay sword, but a 1-range physical sword is not good for most characters that you want to use Corrin on. Corrin's Paralog chapter can be skipped because all it really does is give you para, which I don't think is very good. Overall, Corrin is one of the strongest emblems in the game because she gives you access to unparalleled terrain manipulation and crowd control. I give Corrin a large number of enemies slowly burning to death for 10 damage a turn at a choke point because they can't move through the fire that I place on the ground out of 10. That's it, bye.